Hey, good luck. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going, sir?
Hey, I'm good. I think Kumar also is joining in a minute.
Okay, yeah. I just basically wake up right now.
Cool. Is it too early for you? 6:30? I don't think so. You guys get up.
Like I said, I mean, it's early, but now it's not for me. I'm in for any
You want to
time.
crack that interview at IBM, huh?
Right, for real. Like,
Sure.
I, even if it's 5 a.m., I'm gonna wake up.
Sure.
How's it going over there?
It's going good. Just around 5 p.m. Yeah.
Oh, 5 p.m. That's like 12 hours different.
Yeah.
So 7 hours different.
I think 10 and a half hours.
Oh, okay.
I think Kumar has joined.
All right.
Okay. Oh, where is he gone?
That's network.
So, how many interviews have you given until now? Good luck.
I've done like 2 right now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get past this stage right now.
Mm. How about the training? I mean, was it what online training that you went through for 6 months? The SOC
No,
training?
it was class.
Okay, class. All right.
It was class. Yeah,
Okay.
we had to use different tools, do different things. I mean, it was good.
Right.
Yeah, but I just needed this life experience. More like a mentor, something more detailed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've gone through the Udemy course, right? Good luck. That's how I think you got to know about us.
Yes. Yeah. I did on Udemy.
That's right. All right. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Kumar, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Ravi. Good morning, good luck.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening to you. How's it going, sir?
Good. How's it
Nice.
going with you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Same here. Let me see if I can.
Shall I open up the JDs, Kumar? The
Yep,
ones which,
yep.
Give me one moment.
That work today? Are
I'm
you
sorry?
working from home? I said, are you working from home? Are you been going in?
Yeah, I am actually.
Alright.
So Ravi, are you going to pull up the JD? Oh, okay, there you go. Assisting global security operation, discipline, enterprise, analyze and respond to security threats, firewall, intrusion detection, IPS, antivirus, endpoint protection, EDR, and security threat data source. Respond in timely manner. Absolutely. Document in case, effectively communicate information to internal stakeholders, adhere to policies, procedures, absolutely resolve problems independently, understand escalate procedures, conduct security monitoring activities to provide security in depth into potential known as participate in security incident as a technical subject expert, utilize analytics to identify potential threats, detect, respond, mitigate impact, collaborate with technical teams, engineering, service desk, BSOs. Okay, collaborate and liaison with managed, non-managed security service provider, conduct operations surrounding cybersecurity incidents, technologies, and network logging in. Okay. Ravi, can you go to the next this thing? I think there is a continuation to that, right?
Yeah, one moment. Stop sharing.
This is a different one.
Yeah.
Okay, one moment. I've got another one. With this one. This one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yes.
one. Liaison unmanaged security, conduct operations Response network logging act as an internal information council of business technology, assistant development, knowledge sharing team, security console tuning, identify threat sharing, impacts business customers, perform threat hunting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sounds good. I think we can go ahead. I can probably give you a brief overview of what they are looking at. Um, Ravi, can you share this with me?
Yeah,
Um,
I think I've done that on the WhatsApp. Do you want it on email?
yeah, if you can,
All right, done. I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it up. Okay.
So the thing is, I think because I was going for a junior role,
Mm-hmm.
and I applied for it, and they told me that the position is closed, but they have a senior role,
Mm-hmm.
and this was the junior role for it, and I asked for the second they have a senior role. If I'm interested, I say I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked for JD of the senior role, but instead of the JD of the senior role, they sent me a new position, the one that he put up earlier. So
Yeah.
that the OpenSCAP engineer, they sent me that one instead. So now I think they kind of open it up, the the other one, OpenSCAP. So they kind of open it up, like I think they kind of open it up. So I'm actually kind of being interviewed for the two
Mm.
position. Like maybe they want to see me where my strength is. They can offer me, yeah, this one. So I asked for a JD of the SOC analyst. He said it's a new position. We have a SOC analyst position, but also have this position. So they just sent me this JD. So I'm thinking maybe they just interview me. So if I fit in for this one, they might give me this one too. So so I didn't ask much question if they interview me for this one or the SOC analyst one. So I just
Mm-hmm. The SOC analyst one, it's way too specific for writing up documentation or managing standards on something like that. It's like defining, writing, and managing security standards. It probably will be looking at multiple standards. Like you have your defense information say, system agency. Probably you're working for a defense contractor. I'm not sure. Probably the client is a defense contractor where they're looking at something specific to how defense organization run or manage their documentation. Because if you see here, it says perform configuration and security hardening of computers in compliance with NIST 853 controls. So NIST is nothing but your federal government, right?
yes.
So the NIST controls talks about specific to federal government, and when they say you have to write or write hardened systems, you're looking at probably the client could be a defense contractor, and this is way too specific for what they're asking. Strong knowledge in SCAP components. I have basically not heard, since I have not worked for a defense contractor. Neither we can work out of India, so I basically I'm not aware of what the requirements are here. But for the
Oh,
earlier job description, I definitely can help you out with that,
okay, that's fine.
right? Um, right, okay. There you go. Okay, let's. Okay, Ravi, let me share my screen.
Yeah, one moment. Yeah, all yours.
Okay, let me share. Okay. Where is this? Yep. So it says, analyze and respond to security threats, firewall intrusion. So even before going there, would you know in a SOC what kind of alerts would you review day in, day out?
I don't have knowledge of the alert.
Okay, yeah. So let's, this is a use case documentation. Let's say, suppose, these are all the typical use cases would a SOC would look in day out in their regular day-to-day operations. These are 14 pages. There are some use cases which you look at it day and day, or almost all that. So let's look at network activity, network security activity example. So it's a server accessed an unauthorized IP address. So you look at firewall logs. Internet accessed by unauthorized server, you look at a firewall log. Policy violation, internet access from an unauthorized server, again you're looking at firewall logs, right? Then yep, your perimeter network security, monitoring over ports not permitted by the policy, using clear text credentials, excessive inbound connections denied, right? So what they are asking you is, if you see a firewall based alert, right? So
Yeah.
what could be a firewall based alert? Let's talk in general. So you have a firewall. How do you think a firewall will identify an activity? What type of activity do you think firewall will identify? It could identify a DOS attack, a DDoS attack. Somebody is trying to connect to a specific port. Somebody's trying to do a port scan, right? Or somebody's trying to do a specific targeted attack on a specific port using a specific exploit, right? So you want to look at the firewall logs, because that's the first line of defense for any organization, right? So if you are looking at firewall, what kind of alerts would that be? Again, coming to this point is excessive inbound denied connections, right? So you are a SOC administrator and you see that good luck firewall is getting hit, right, by a malicious guy from, say, suppose Russia, 10,000 times in a second, right? What do you think is the impact? What do you think is the impact?
Denial of service.
Exactly, right? Or possibly some saturation of resources in the backend, right? So again, okay, what will you do? What is that you will do in that case? Would be the question for you, right? Again, in a DDoS type of situation, what would you? So the days are gone where you will deploy a DDoS solution within your organization, right? You will now start depending upon a third-party company like a Cloudflare or any Arbor Networks, who are specialists in DDoS protections, right? Who will help you in helping you protect against DDoS, right? Who will help you protect against DDoS. So again, that could be one firewall alert. Yeah. Just a second.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all.
Yeah. So again, let's say suppose active sync flood, attack denied by a network. So what is a sync flood? So you need to understand the network basic terminologies like TCP three-way handshake, right? So how does a three-way handshake happen? How an attacker would use the three-way handshake to cause denial of service or a flood type of attack against your network, right? So if I say that, I am only sending you sync packets, I'm consistently sending you sync packets and not waiting for any response. So what a TCP three-way handshake looks like? It looks like a sync ACK, and then ACK, right? So I say I want to talk to Good Luck. Good Luck says yes, I am ready to talk to Kumar. And then Kumar says, Good Luck, I acknowledge your receipt, and then let's communicate back. But instead of waiting for good luck's acknowledge and synchronization thing, Kumar straightforwardly, consistently sends, hello, 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 hello. After a certain time, your phone or whatever resources saturates. And after then it starts dying off. It can't handle it. It shuts off, or then it blue screens, right? One example. So how would that be? So like, again, active sync flood attack detection, right? So how would you identify that? What would you do for that, right? Or like, high volume of TCP resets. So there is the TCP connection coming in, your firewall is resetting it. The TCP request comes in, your firewall resets it. Why is that happening? What mismatch that it happened here, right? So um, some of this could be your firewall based activity, like what is that? Malicious VPN activity. Like somebody's trying to connect to your VPN and then is failing lot of times, right? Your VPN server is getting hit a lot of times. So these, some of the type would be your firewall alerts, right? So in general, your firewall is the one which is the first layer of defense. You understand that if somebody comes and hits you, it'll based on, firewall works on based on the policies and rules. So you'll need to identify what type of activity comes in and what you'll do. So let's look at now, since we have talked about it, let's look at how do you handle a firewall based alert, right? In a very generic sense, you get a firewall alert saying that some activity is happening on your firewall. So what are the things you'll primarily look at? You look at a source IP, you look at a destination IP address, you look at the source port, you look at a destination port, right?
Right.
You following me, or you're like difficult? Am I going too fast?
Oh, no, I'm following.
Okay. So in a firewall activity, all the while the firewall it handles or looks at is your source IP, destination IP, source port, and destination port. So when you're looking at that, when you're looking at the source and destination, the first and foremost thing you'll do is identify what's the reputation of the external IP address, right? In a firewall based traffic, you look at what is the reputation of the external IP address. By reputation, it can be anything. Let's say, suppose you can go to okay, let's go here. Abuse IP. You can go to a site called Abuse IPDB, right? So I can put just an IP address. Let's say, suppose this IP address here. Oops. Yep. So this IP address, as you see here, the reputation is bad. It says it's from Beijing, and here is the reason why. So this IP address is part of, it's trying to do some authentication failures. And it's trying to do an SSH authentication failures, right? So this is how you gather. There are more sites like this. You can just go type IP reputations, right? So there are, this is there. The first one, siren.com, which can help you. Let me ping you this in the chat so that you can have a copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, right. So you can say, okay, move this. I say I'm not a robot. It's just taxi. This is shit. Yeah, check the IP address. So it goes and performs NS suspicious, right?
Yeah.
So this is one way. The other way is you can go to, say, virus to total, right? No. Yeah, you can go here, put the search, put the IP address, and then hit. It'll tell you like what's the reputation of it, like where it's involved and everything else. So you can gather intelligence about an IP address and what it's trying to do here, and then come to understanding like what is really happening here, right? So that that is the way you understand is, you look at the source, you look at the destination, look at what ports it's trying to connect to from an external thing, how many connections are allowed, right? And how many connections were dropped or blocked, and why those were, right? So if you say that, you see that, a malicious IP address connection was accepted by your firewall, do you think why? Sometimes you have your web server hosted behind a firewall, right?
Yeah.
A web server, right? A google.com is always hosted behind a firewall. So google.com works on which port?
Port 80.
Exactly. So port 80 will traditionally always be allowed in a firewall. So it means if somebody is trying to connect to a web server or scan your IP range, you will always understand, or the IP connection will always be forwarded to your web server from your firewall, right? So
Yeah.
port 80 and 443, you will always see a connection accepted. But what you need to also understand is, there is something called as spiderfoot.net. So you can go and get access to this spiderfoot.net. It's a very good open source intelligence tool. You can gather a lot of intelligence about a malicious IP address. Let me ping this to you. And then you can go to showdown.io, which is also a very, very good site. You can go and say google.com, right? And it will go and provide you all the information related to google.com if it has got information on it. But so you can say monitor network security. So showdown.io is the internet scanner. It scans the entire internet and then gathers information. Even about the bad IP also, you will have some kind of information. So let's say copy, go here. Right, there you go. So now you know the attacker IP. You are looking at an attacker IP. You know how the attacker IP is visible. So what type of ports are open on an attacker IP, right? So and let's say suppose you are looking at so let's say suppose this is your own company. This IP belongs to your own company, like which you're working for, right? So showdown.io, if it scanned your environment and it's hitting and it scanned your environment or scanned that particular IP address, you'll know what type of ports are open, right? So good.
Is this like, are you trying to find out more information about the source IP, or this is your own company IP?
No, yeah, we can do it for both. I can look at a destination IP or a source IP address. Let's consider this is the source IP address, right? Or the destination IP address for your company where you're working for. Let's say you got an alert saying that some XYZ IPs are hitting 11.229.27.180, which belongs to your company, let's say IBM.com.
Okay.
Right? So it's hitting it. So now first of all, you need to know what it's hitting, right? So you look at the destination ports. What are the destination ports the attacker is coming and hitting, right? Then you need to understand what type of service is running on those destination ports. Right, what type of services? So if I say port 22 SSH is running, 123 NTP is running, 3306 is a SQL server it's running, right? So if you understand what type of services are running, you can look at the next type of attacks which is coming in. So firewall alerts are the initial scans, or the firewall logs are initial scans to number of other attacks. It can be your web application attacks, or it can be targeted your network attacks, right? So now you understood that somebody is scanning your server, and these are the ports which are open, which the attacker can also see visible, right? So now you think what they can do with these ports. What an attacker can do with this port: he can do a SSH brute force, or he can do an SSH brute force, he can do an NTP, or he can try to access the web server, or he can try to do a SQL injection or any SQL vulnerabilities, right? And that's how you will have to think about it, right? For a firewall log, firewall alert, that's how you'll think about, threats from firewall,
Okay.
right? Traffic based. So somebody is scanning you. Why would they scan you? What are they trying to, like, think yourself as if, you're driving your car through a suburb area or through an area like in Hollywood or something like that. Why would you scan? What is the purpose of it? Are you sightseeing? You can be sightseeing, or you can be scanning for next target. If you're sightseeing or your next target, both of them will look like the same thing, right? Until unless you look at the source and ask him, what are you doing in this neighborhood, right? So what are you doing in this neighborhood? So based on the question and based on the facts you find out, you'll get your answer. You know what? I came from India. I'm just trying to visit here, and this is my passport. I'll go away tomorrow. But you say that, if you don't provide any valid reasoning, and by the looks and by the understanding of that person itself is suspicious, you'll immediately, keep him aside. You'll confiscate his car. You'll pull him aside and, ask him a lot of questions, interrogative questions. Where you are coming from? I don't think so. Your reputation is good. You'll try to pull his history out of it. You'll probably, if you're a cop, you'll try to pull his history out of it, right? And that's what you're doing by reputation. Who else has seen this IP address doing bad things? And what is he famous for, right? Is he famous for accessing a specific website or like a port? And if he does known for accessing a specific port, what he would do with this access? Whether he'll compromise it or he'll use a specific exploit from somewhere else, right? So you'll have to go that far and understand, right? And then the other thing is you look at, so first thing is you understood all this thing, right? You have any questions?
No, I understand, but I wanted to ask. So, using abuse IPDB and Spiderfoot and Shodan, that's like you doing recon on your network or on the IP address.
Yes. So it's basically try to find out what an attacker looks like, right? If he's coming into your own organization, if he's scanning your organization, what he would see is what you're trying to understand, right? So you're trying to look at yourself from a third person's perspective.
Okay.
Right.
So how about using like vulnerabilities like Nessus or Nmap to do that too?
You can do that, but are you allowed to do it? Yeah. Not every SOC team is allowed to do that. At that point of time, when you're handling an alert, will you go out and scan it? No. Right. At that point of time, when you're actually handling an alert, would you go and scan it? You'll not. Right. You look at quick succession ways, like this one abuse IPDB or Shodan, to identify, okay, my company's external IP is like 111, whatever we saw. Okay. The internet facing IP is that. Okay, what an attacker would see for this IP address is this, right? Until unless he probes a specific scan, which you'll see in your logs, which we'll talk later, which we'll talk next, right? So you have scanned it, you identify the source IP reputation is bad. You look at the destination IP address, which is your company IP address. You know that there are specific ports open. Now what you'll do is, where you'll check all this? You'll check in your SIEM, which is your QRadar, Splunk, anything else for that matter, right? So you look at the logs. So what you look at the logs, you'll always go back 24 hours or last 7 days or last 30 days. You'll try to gradually increase the time scope of when did I see the source IP coming into my own network, right? And that's how you'll try to make a how would I say that, a statistical analysis of it. Okay, I saw this guy last 24 hours. So did I see him in last 7 days? Okay, let me go and run a search. Oh, I see him last 7 days. Did I see him in last 30 days? So then you are trying to find out a pattern. Okay, this guy is scanning my environment every day at specific time or specific time intervals for a specific port. Why would he do that? What is his interest in that? Is it causing any harm to me? right? So you're looking at historical data about what this guy is doing and whether his scannings or his access has changed from earlier to today. So if he's consistently scanning your website, or is he consistently scanning set of IP addresses or set of ports, then you'll have to ask a question: why is he interested in these ports? Is there a commonality among all these last 30 days data? Okay, in the last 30 days data, I see around 100,000 hits, right? So okay, first day I see 10 hits, second day I see 10 hits, third day I see 10 hits, 15 days continuously I'm seeing 10 hits, but on 16th or 17th day I see a jump in 20 or 30,000 hits. Why would it do that? What is so special on that day? Did something change? Was something related? Vulnerability was released on that specific day? What is trying to do that? What really happened there? Right? So once you gather all these things, you'll write up a summary. How will you write up a summary? You say that today at XYZ time, I saw a source IP from XYZ country with a reputation bad, connecting to my internal IP at this ports, and this activity has been seen last for 30 days. Observation is this: network team, can you please confirm whether these services are running on these destination servers or not? Right? If he's specifically targeting for a specific server, let's say suppose your attacker is trying to attack or look at a SQL server, right? You know that SQL server is open or SQL port is open, but how vulnerable are you to that attack? Right? The port is open doesn't mean that you're vulnerable to an attack, right? My company could have put a lot of protection in that place. Right? It could have filtered the incoming attacks or incoming connections. There is an intermediate server who's looking at the connection, then only forwarding it. Right? So it's not that your database is exposed to internet, but yes, the port is exposed to internet for accepting SQL connections. So you'll ask your internal team, can you please confirm, are you seeing any impact from these scans? Are these connections connecting through to your database? If they say no, we have all protection in place, absolutely fine. If they say, let me go back and check, the other thing what you can do is look at your application logs. Look at your application logs, right? So now you're saying that you're looking at, so the attacker IP is connecting to google.com, which runs on port 80 and port 445 or 443, right? So they're connecting consistently. You see a large number of hits coming in. But in your firewall logs, can you see IAS logs or web server logs? You'll not, because this is just firewall logs, who is connecting to whom. Then you'll have to look at another set of logs, which could be your web server logs, which host your IAS logs. There you'll go and ask your website team, can you please tell me whether this IP was seen in your logs? What is it trying to do? Or if you have logs in your Splunk, you'll go query that. Right? Okay. Am I confusing you?
No, I'm really getting it.
Okay. So
what's ISL log though?
IAS is your web server log. So, okay, let me share my screen. So IAS logs. Let's see. Kumar 3 and come on, I don't like it. Let me look at images. Yeah. Oh, it's way too small. Now, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what an IAS server would be. So IAS server is your web server. Like all your web applications or websites will run on a web server, right?
Yes.
Yes. So where does the data get stored? And all your web servers in Microsoft environment will run in a IAS environment. The IAS is your internet. What is IAS? IAS. Yeah. Yeah. Internet Information Services is an extensible web server software created by Microsoft. That's your IIS. So any firewall traffic coming through would actually look like this. This is how your IIS server, IIS logs will look like. Right? Your the web server logs, website logs will look like. So you are now, whatever I'm accessing, all these logs are getting stored somewhere, which will look like this. Right? So so it says, okay, somebody access OpenTree with port 80 with a user agent like this, right? So okay, let me okay, let's do one thing. Alien. That's me. This sucks. Oh, yep. Yep. Oops. There you go. Yep. There you Alien demo login.
Kumar, we can't see your screen. Huh?
Oh, you can't? Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh, it's not sure.
Login. To configure demo. My bad. Sorry. I think I lost again. There you go. Demo. Okay, let's. I don't think so. I can't make it work, but I'll find out. I'll find out because this is free. You know, you can actually. I'm sorry.
I just downloaded it too, but I've not logged in.
Which one?
This allowed by AT&T.
Oh yeah. Demo.alien vault. No, it's OS IM, but I think yeah. Okay, let me. This is your IS log sample. Yeah. What am I getting? Can't find one sample. Yeah. So your IIS logs will look like something like this, right? So it will talk about the method, the page which is accessed, and the status code. Your HTTP status codes. So probably we need to understand what is the status code here. So 200 is allowed, 304 is server-side error, 404 is page not found, right? So we will look like we will try to look at we saw this. Yeah, this could be, this is how it will also look like in a tool. So your request, the site, the thread or the elapsed time, and the HTTP version what was used. I'll try to find out the samples for you. But again, for a firewall log, that's how you'll be investigating.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The intrusion detection will also follow the same process. Intrusion detection is nothing but somebody is trying to come in with a crafted exploit or crafted attack. Initially, what they will do is they'll try to scan your environment, which will appear in your firewall logs, right? But the next layer of attacks or next level of attacks would be coming in, like, let's suppose I found out that your SQL server is open, your SQL port is open, right? So what would I do with that? I'll start doing SQL injection attacks, which is your SQL injection attacks, right? So how would I do that? I'll probably do like this, where your user ID password is available.
Yeah.
I'll try to look at a web page and see whether there is a username and password. I'll try to craft a SQL injection attack and try to do that. This is what will get picked up by your IDS IPS, right? Your Apache struts or any other vulnerability type or any other exploit type on your web server will get picked up, right? So you can go one hub, yeah. So you can go to this place and you can look at yeah. So you can look at a lot of web security based training material here. This is also a great site, One Hub, right? So you can do a lot of web application type thing here, which will help you understand the web application exploits and how the attacks really happen. So from an intrusion detection standpoint, that's how you look like, but you'll be specifically looking at your intrusion detection system, your IDS alerts. How would an intrusion detection system alerts? Intrusion prevention system alerts. How would I show it? How would I show it? Yeah, could be a Snort rule. So Snort is another application which is used for open source intrusion detection system, right? So it looks at a backdoor sub event 22 signature by a backdoor activity, right? So it looks at an activity where a specific type of packet flags are aligned, but your IPS is tuned to identify this activity, right? Your IPS is tuned because it has got a signature. It look at the activity and pick it up, and then block the activity, right? So you will do a little bit further investigation than your firewall logs, but you'll also look at what type of attack is happening. Look at a packet capture, run the packet capture or open the packet capture and try to see what type of signature or what type of string or what type of exploit we were sent out. Was it encrypted, unencrypted? What type of payload was it sent? And what does it mean to us? Whether the payload was successfully run, or what was the URL where the attack was sent out, and what did the outcome of the attack happen? Right. So we will have to look at a lot of other those type of things. I can't find a precise example, but okay, let's look at this one. Yeah. So worm propagation on the internal network, right? So worm usually runs on specific ports, and it has a specific behavior of connecting to multiple systems in a short period of time, right? So that could be your internal IPS system. You know, within the network, IPS system can identify it, right? So you'll always have two IPS or IDS systems in your organization. One at a perimeter level, which is at the firewall level, at the edge of your level. Then you have a host-based firewall, host-based IPS at your endpoint level, right? So if you look at it, right? So this is your company employees and this is your internet. So internet, IPS, firewall, and your internal employees. So your IPS sits at the perimeter of the network, right? So this is one IPS, but there is other IPS which is your host-based IPS or HIPS, which is it sitting at the every endpoint level, every user's desktop or laptop. It can be a semantic agent, it can be your CrowdStrike, it can be your Carbon Black, it can be any other software, Silence Protector, it can be any other. That will look at the endpoint level detections or endpoint level activities or endpoint level exploits. If the machine is not in the network, then how will it protect itself? Right? So when somebody is asking you an IPS question, you will have to ask like whether you're asking me network IPS alert or a host-based IPS alert. Right? So when you're talking about network-based IPS alert, you look at all the attacks would go to your web servers and servers alone, where there is a lot of data hosted or where the data can be pulled out. But at the endpoint level, if a specific endpoint is getting compromised, the investigation will be very different.
Okay.
Right? So, yep.
The IPS is it on the perimeter? Is it supposed? I thought it's supposed to be after the firewall.
No, before the firewall. You can have two ways. You can have a firewall IPS and another firewall.
Oh, okay.
You can build your network any which ways. Like you can have a firewall before and after the IPS as well.
Okay.
Right.
So
what's
the best way?
Sorry.
What's the best way, before the firewall or after the firewall?
I would say before the firewall.
Before the firewall.
Yeah. But again, you know, this is completely based on, you see here, you have your untrusted, you have your DMZ environment. If the traffic passes through, it goes to the sensor, then it goes to the internal network where they have another sensor for each subnet.
Okay.
Right. So you can have any configuration which you want, but it's like how secure do you want? Right? What's the security level do you look for? Like, in this case here, you have an internet, you have an edge router, you have a firewall, you have a network switch. It's a span port which goes to your IDS system, and then it forwards the traffic to your endpoint.
Okay.
So it could be here this as well. So it can be a simple network. You know, I'll have a switch, I'll have edge router, then I'll have a switch, I'll have a switch which connects to my IPS, and any traffic which gets filtered out will go through my firewall. But you are putting your IPS at a risk here, right? So if again, you know, let's consider your IPS as your sniffer dog. Would you want your sniffer dog to sniff all the bags in the airport? Probably it get tired, and probably it will not be able to carry out that operations. But if you put every other luggage in the scanning activity, or put through scanner, which scans it, filters it out, and then gives you a little, you know, a subset of all the baggage, and then ask your sniffer dog to look at the subset, it's much more efficient way of, you know, utilizing your sniffer dogs, right? Instead of asking it to scanning 10,000 bags, if you say scan 10,000 bags, your X-ray scanner, you say that, okay, out of 10,000 bags, I think that there are 50 bags or 100 bags which are suspicious. I want the dog to only sniff those 100 bags, right? Then you're much more efficient. Similar way, if you're putting firewall before your IPS, your firewall will by default, based on the rules, will drop all the unnecessary and malicious traffic based on what it understands. Whatever it doesn't understand, it will forward. And that's the remaining traffic which IPS will filter it out and lets you know that, okay, from the remaining traffic, I find this thing suspicious. And this is the alerts for it. Right?
Right.
Make sense?
Yes. So that's why I thought about the firewall comes first before the IPS, because the firewall drop the some signature that he does understand before getting to the IPS, that IPS being in front. Because if IPS being in front, it's gonna really catch a lot of workload or payload.
Yep. And then it will be a lot of false positives. Right? It'll trigger for every activity which happens. It'll start triggering an alert, which you don't want.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So that's for intrusion. Intrusion prevention is also there. Your antivirus alerts probably. Can we talk about this IPS and the rest of the topics tomorrow? Probably a little plan out the session tomorrow, and then we can go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions so far, or is it like way too much information in a short span of time?
No, it's really good information for me, because I mean I'm already kind of know the name. It's just you're putting it together to my head. So
okay. Yep. So example would be, you know, you said about SOPs. So I think I've got some you know, playbook or SOPs kind of thing, which I found it online. The triage stage, you know, collect your systems, determine the user data, review log data, determine incident, investigation stage, what you will be looking at, the tools, prepare SMEs, the identification. So I will share you this, but this will not have the step, you know, point to point, what do you call, steps, actual steps to remediate, but it's a structure of how you can write up a document. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to see if there are more which I can get from. There is a site called IEA, so I don't know. You know, I was able to get it online, so I'll find out if I get more. You know, I'll let you know. You can also go there and, you know, look at the same things again.
Okay.
Yep.
So Kumar, any material we can forward to Good Luck?
Yep. So what I'll do is I'll give you this use cases document, this one, which talks about a lot of use cases like alerts, which you can configure in your Splunk environment. And when it triggers, you know, and probably a small explanation, but you can go and research, like at least one or two things you can go research about it, and then figure out, you know, related to to the things which you're talking about, like antivirus and stuff like that. So I'll forward you this use cases. There is one more use cases document which I have got. This is from a company called Palladian, which likes, DMZ jumping, DMZ reverse tunnel, excessive DNS database connections, excessive firewall access across multiple hosts, right? Excessive firewall access from multiple sources at single destinations. So I'll forward you this document. Probably it will be helping you understand, what is really happening and what is the logic behind identifying an attack.
Okay.
So I'll give you these two use cases here, and then once you have that, I'll probably we'll go through some other things as well.
That's fine.
Okay. Perfect. If you don't have any questions, I think let's wrap up, and then probably we can meet. Ravi, when you want to schedule a call, we can meet then.
Yeah, we'll do that. Sure.
Yeah. Perfect.
Like, any questions before we go? You have enough material for today to prepare, since it's the morning for you?
Yeah. I mean, I can work on that. I mean, one thing I wanted to ask. So the video is recorded. Do I get it? Do I get the video too?
Yep. I mean, do you want to go ahead with the sessions from now on? Because I mean, what we normally do is for paid participants only, we share the video. It's a recorded one any which ways.
So if I should go ahead with him, then I can be getting the videos, right?
Yeah, you definitely will get videos.
Yeah, that's fine.
Think through and let me know. You can ping me. Yep. So I think we'll decide the timing once you go through it today, and in case you want Kumar to help further, we can have a call tomorrow as well.
Okay. So when is the next section though?
Kumar, I'll talk to him because he's
Okay.
working the entire day, right? So I'll have to take a slot where he's free. So I'll come back to you on the time for tomorrow.
Okay. But
Yeah.
is it gonna be before Friday? Like, so before let me just study for my interview, then see if I can talk to him before my interview.
Sure.
Yep. So we can meet tomorrow if that's fine. I'll let you know the timing.
Okay.
When would that be? Because I need to just check my calendar and figure out like what's the time slot which is open for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Tomorrow. Can we do a 4:30, which will be like 4:35, that's 6 a.m. your time, because 6 p.m. my time the call starts for me, and they are back to back, and sometimes it's with a vendor, so I don't want to be late for those meetings as well.
Well, like I said, no matter the time, even if it's 3 a.m. on time, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so let's do 4:30, which is 6 a.m. your time. So that gives me ample time. We can spend the full hour talking about all your questions and doubts, and then probably we can discuss some of the questions you have.
Okay. So I guess I wanted to ask you a question, but I guess I'll leave it to tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. Or you can just email to Ravi, and then I can answer you if you think that's something which you want to ask right now, and then we can catch up on that, or follow up on that tomorrow.
We have the Hangout groups as well. Good luck. You're part of it. So you can, whatever questions you have, just share it over there. And I think Kumar is going to pick up, and either he can talk it tomorrow in the call or whenever he has time.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right, then. Let's meet tomorrow. Good luck.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
Have a good one.
Yep. You too.